Hello and welcome to our channel. My name is Maria. In today's video, I want to speak a little bit about some common errors what can influence our lash lift result and some conditions what can cause some troubles during our treatments. So let's start from the beginning in our list of the errors. The most common error is that the lashes are not cleaned well enough. Maybe it happened to you or you have noticed that on one eye the lashes are more curled than on the other eye. The most common error what we do is that we don't clean the lashes enough. There may be some residues of old mascara and so on and so on. So very important is that we clean really well the eyelashes, and very important is that we use also the primer or the prep, because the prep helps to prepare the eyelashes for the lash lift treatment. It helps to remove all the residues of the oil, of the film, of any dirt what can be deposited on the eyelashes. So the next common error is that the eyelashes are not dried well enough. For example, when we clean them with a makeup remover and we use the prep and we don't make sure that the eyelashes are dried well enough and start to place the eyelashes on the silicone shields. It's important that you make sure, or use some tissue or something just to dry them, because otherwise once we try to put the eyelashes on the silicone shields, they won't stick so well, and then we wonder like, oh, what happened? The most common error is that we didn't dry them well. You can use the manual air dryer, what you use also for the eyelash extension treatments, to dry the eyelashes, to make sure that the eyelashes are dried well enough. The other common error is, and many do not know that this could be an error. I mean, it's not exactly an error, but it's one condition what can cause some troubles for us to work well during the treatment, is that when the humidity in the room is too high. Why so? For example, if we compare it with the eyelash extensions, the little bit higher humidity is actually good, because it helps the eyelash extension glue to dry well. But for the lash lift adhesive, it's not so well, because when it's too high humidity, for example, our Lamy Super Booster adhesive is 100% hydrosoluble. This means that it may slow down the drying process of the lash lift adhesive. So I really suggest to have in the room with you the hygrometer to make sure that the humidity is not too high. If you see that the humidity starts to raise over the 50-55, around 60%, in that case I suggest you to use the humidifier to create the more comfortable conditions in your work environment. Another condition what can cause some troubles is that the room is too hot. When the room is too hot where we work, the glue, the adhesive, our lash lift adhesive, can get too liquid, which means that it's not as comfortable to work with. And the same like as with the high humidity, the high temperatures can slow down a bit the drying process of our adhesive. So yeah, you can use the air conditioner, for example, to lower a little bit the temperatures in your room. Another thing very important, also what can influence, is that we have to make sure that our adhesive is not expired. So make sure that you check on your adhesive bottle. For example, this is our adhesive bottle, and there is a little sign of how long after opening the bottle lasts. Our Lamy Super Booster adhesive lasts after opening 3 months, so we do not suggest to use it after that. So make sure that your adhesive is fresh. because otherwise you can have some difficulties on placing the eyelashes on the silicone shields, and you may notice that the lashes won't stick and they will continue to come off from the silicone shields. So it's actually, what I suggest is sign on your bottle once you open, sign the date when you opened your lash lift adhesive bottle. So another error what can influence the end result is when we use too much product. It's not good to use too much product, because what can happen if you use too much product is that once we placed on our lash line the product, and if it's too much excess, it starts to move towards the tips of the eyelashes. But it's not good to use the product on the tips of the eyelashes, because our eyelashes on the tips are much more fragile, much more thin. So we don't want to burn the eyelashes. And if we put the product on the tips of the eyelashes, we risk that the end result is not nice. It may look like over-processed eyelashes. So make sure you use the correct quantity of the product. Another common error is that we do not separate well the eyelashes. For me, the separation is one of the most important part of the lash lift process, because the way we place the eyelashes on our silicone shields is the way how they're gonna look after. So if we don't take some time, if we don't pay attention on the separation, the end result will not look good. So make sure that you check, you use the mirror. I prefer myself to always use a little mirror to check if the eyelashes are separated well, also on the roots. I normally use two tools. I use the classical lash lift tool, the steel one, because it helps me really well to pull the eyelashes on the silicone shields, and I use the Epsilon tool, the Y tool, to separate perfectly the eyelashes, because it's so important that they are not crisscrossed with each other, because this will really influence the end result. Another common error is that we choose the wrong size silicone shields. Very often I see some estheticians choosing easily for example, the S size silicone shield. It's not always the best choice, because, for example, if we use too small silicone shield on really long lashes, the result is not good. I call it like the spider leg effect. So make sure you choose the correct size of silicone shields, because it really influences the end result. Another error is that we use too big amount of the adhesive. I mean, with Lamy Super Booster adhesive, there is not so big danger that even if you use the excessive amount of adhesive that the product don't pass. But I mean, you still should pay attention to that, because if we create too big barrier on the eyelashes, unfortunately our lotions won't pass through. Even though Lamy Super Booster adhesive is 100% hydrosoluble, it's designed specially for us that during the treatment the lotions start to melt already the adhesive on the space where we add the product, so the lotions will pass through 100%. But of course, if we use too big excess, we continue to add the adhesive, it's not good, because the lotions will not be able to melt it completely to pass through, and this will influence our end result of the treatment. Another common error is that the curing times are not correct. If we keep the lotions on the thin eyelashes for too long time, the lashes will not look good. They will be over-processed. And the same is opposite, when we keep the lotions for too short time on too thick eyelashes. basically when you take the silicone shields off, you won't see any result, and basically you would have to repeat the treatment. So make sure you analyze well how the lashes are to make sure that the processing times what you choose are correct. Another thing very important is that the silicone shields what we use are very clean. So make sure that after every treatment you clean them really well, you sanitize them, and before using them you make sure that the silicone shields are perfectly clean, because otherwise if there is some residues of old adhesive, it can influence your work. And another error what we can do is not to take the notes of our client treatments, which is really important. As estheticians, we want to have the returning clients, so it is very important that we take notes of each treatment. Why so? It is because, for example, you can't remember every client's processing times and so on and so on. So it is so important that you just sign every time you do a treatment the minutes of the processing time you kept the lotions. That way, for example, if the first time the result was beautiful, amazing, you want it to be also for the next times. So it's important that you sign the processing times. That way it's much easier for you, and you're gonna have much happier clients. So this is so important. And from that you can also next time ask your clients if they want to change something. Maybe you can try with different silicone shields for different results, and so on and so on. So it is important to take notes of each client's treatment. Another very common error is the so-called flipped eyelid. What does it mean? This means that the eyelashes are too tightly pulled to the silicone shields, that basically we can see the lash line flipping upwards. So it's very important that when we lift the eyelashes on the silicone shields, we do not pull them too strongly. So basically when we see that the adhesive starts to get dry, we shouldn't continue to pull the eyelashes. In that case, we just add some new fresh adhesive. That way it softens the previous adhesive what we already added, and you can continue to separate the eyelashes. So make sure you don't flip the eyelid, because otherwise we will not have a nice end result. The lashes will not be curled. I hope this video helps with your future treatments. For some other tips and tricks, just follow our channel. If you have some questions or some ideas for my next videos, what you would like to see, just drop me a comment. Follow our Instagram and Facebook, Lami Super Booster, and see you soon. Bye bye.